Hello everybody, welcome back. Awesome video yesterday, but I have had no views. So the target for this video is 1 view. So let's get right into it. First one is Apple aims to become carbon neutral by 2030. Now this should be interesting to say the least. It will slash its greenhouse gas emissions by 75%. So slashing it by 75% will make it carbon neutral. These terms, I tell you, I find them so difficult to understand. What does carbon neutral mean? Hopefully they would have explained it. Apple plans to eliminate its contribution to climate change this decade. So it's a decade long plan, not the immediate one. But it's a good PR, good activity in general. The company announced today to reach its goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2030, it will slash its greenhouse gas pollution by 75% and then find ways to draw down the remaining 25% of its heat trapping emissions. That's not bad. And so what will it do for the remaining 25%? Then find ways to draw down the remaining 25% of its heat trapping emissions. That's different. So they are going to reduce 75% and then find some sort of way to reduce the 25%. The company cut its carbon dioxide emissions by 4.3 million metric tons in 2019. According to the 2020 Environmental Progress Report. That represents a 35% drop in the absolute carbon dioxide emissions since the company's peak in 2015, a reduction it's been able to achieve even as it sold more products. This is actually very commendable. Apple is doing amazing in this regard, that it's selling more handsets but the emission is less. Obviously something good is happening, but it still pumped out a lot of carbon dioxide in 2019, 25.1 million metric tons. Equivalent to 6 coal-fired power plants chugging along for a year. Now this description makes it sound like it's the 1900s, but I don't know, it should be more, but the good thing is that it has at least started. Apple's been able to cut back on its planet heating pollution by using recycled materials, the thing that we know, and improving the energy efficiency of its products. Probably the heat dissipation is less, or in the process of making it, probably the emission is less. Its products use 73% less energy on average now than they did 11 years ago. Apple says that its operations, including emissions from its facilities and business travel, became carbon neutral in April of this year. Oh, so its facilities and business travel are already carbon neutral, but just talking about the manufacturing target for 2030. In 2018, the company announced that it would purchase enough renewable energy to power its global operations. Apple is doing a lot of work. It will be harder for Apple to shrink emissions from making its products, which accounted for 76% of its carbon footprint in 2019. To take on that challenge, the company is looking to work with suppliers that run on renewable energy. So any of you out there who wants to start a renewable energy source factory or interested in solar cells or solar companies, your golden ticket is here. It says it's gotten a commitment from more than 70 suppliers to use only renewable energy for Apple production, which the company estimates will reduce carbon dioxide emissions equivalent to taking 3 million cars off the road yearly. That's just amazing, yeah? Apple is also banking on being able to draw down carbon dioxide it's responsible for releasing into the atmosphere. Now this is a tricky part, but rather than investing in emerging technologies like of its rivals, it has committed to working with the environmental groups like Conservation International to protect and restore forests. Oh, so instead of actually reducing it, it's planting more forests and mangroves that draw in and store carbon dioxide naturally. That is smart, to say the least. Apple's commitment comes on the heels of climate goals set by Microsoft and Amazon. Microsoft became carbon neutral in 2012 and said in January that it would become carbon negative. This is good, carbon negative, removing more greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than it emits. So that is what negative means. Carbon neutral means that the amount of gases that you are releasing into the atmosphere, you are somehow removing that amount of gases from the atmosphere also. Have good food. Don't have too much fermented food, first of all, just as a human being. Microsoft said that it became carbon negative, removing more greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than it emits by 2030. It also pledged to invest $1 billion in technologies that will help it remove all of the carbon dioxide it's pumped out since the company was founded. We need these companies, for sure. Amazon set a goal last year of becoming carbon neutral by 2040, so 20 years. In June, it announced a new $2 billion fund to speed up the development of technologies that will help companies cut down their carbon emissions. Wow, $2 billion. Despite its climate commitments, the company released 15% more carbon dioxide in 2019 than it did in the year before as its sales grew. So this is sort of troubling that it has committed a $2 billion fund, but it released more gas in 2019. Probably some sort of anti-gas tablet would work. Businesses have profound opportunity to build a more sustainable future, one born of our common concern for the planet we share, said Apple CEO Tim Cook in a statement. Climate action can be foundation for a new era of innovative potential, job creation, and durable economic growth. That is completely true, because once you start innovating, you're going to face some problems, but eventually you're going to come to a point where it will generate thousands of more jobs, like Tesla. Found this one very interesting. Coronavirus era sparks rise of the gaming addict. So people are gaming more than ever during COVID. Many of the young people do not see the increase in online time and the disruption it causes to their routine as a sign of addiction. Young people believe that they will be able to drop the habit once life returns to normal. I found this to be true that yes, there is some sort of addiction, some less social physical interaction, but when the time comes, it generally falls to the wayside. But let's see. Couple of lines here. Over the last 3.5 months, many Gen Zers and millennials have taken to gaming to cope with being cooped up at home or worrying about delays in exams and results. There is an increase in gaming among youngsters during the lockdown, and after the lockdown, it is definitely in the excessive range. Well, what can you do? What are people going to do? So if they are not going to game, probably they'll watch TV or be on their phone watching YouTube. Is that something that is good? So I think we have to take it with a pinch of salt. This one, just weird. Got an old phone lying in the drawer, just send it by post in France. Wow. An estimated 50 to 110 million phones are languishing in drawers across the country. Since recycling options are not always straightforward and many people worry the personal data they store might still be accessible. Figuring out what to do with an old phone just got easier in France, where people can now send them free in the mail to have them recycled or refurbished for sale by a charity group. Amazing, what an idea. An estimated 50 to 110 million phones are languishing. That's fine. Ecosystem, the NGO behind the project, said the people could order a prepaid envelope from its website or simply print out a prepaid address label. That's amazing. The phones are sent to a processing center where all data is erased before the phone is either refurbished for sale at MIS charity shops, or in the majority of cases, 83%, broken down for recycling and removal of the most polluting components. Ecosystem, the company, said Monday that it plans to distribute 100 reconditioned phones from the scheme during each of the 35 stages of this year's Tour de France cycling race that begins on August 29. Wow. The project is an expansion of the non-profit's main electronics recycling program that aims to keep appliances and other devices from incinerators or landfill sites. Wow, people are doing some amazing work, so different than what I've heard or read. In June, it collected a record 62,000 tons of material as people cleared out their homes after 2 months of COVID lockdown. People are just doing great stuff. But this was quite exciting. I'm going to edit this video and upload it back. Hopefully you liked the video. If you did, let me know in the comments. Subscribe, like, share with your friends, and have a